Rasmus Holst, CEO of Zensai, and Robin Daniels, Chief Business Officer. Thanks so much for joining us at the Center for Social Capital.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you so much for having us.
So we've already featured your wonderful book, The Human Success Playbook, A Leadership Tale for the Age of AI, in our book section. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But we also featured you in our well-being feature, specifically talking about how AI can be human focused. And that is very much a core part of Zensai's mission, right?
Absolutely. It's basically the thing we're fighting for every day. And this is what the book is all about. I mean, the book is really meant as kind of a rallying cry, a manifesto to give everybody else who's in positions of leadership the inspiration they need to put humans at the center of this revolution that we're going through.
So that's so integral to what we're about, right? And one of the reasons why when Robin originally reached out to me at the Amazing Human X event, I just felt such kismet with him and with your company, and I just said, oh my God, this is the perfect social capital company. And Rasmus, there's a great quote from you in an interview where you talked about this idea of human success being a movement to redefine Zensai being more than just a suite of services or AI tools.
Yep.
It's a movement to redefine success by putting people at the center of organizational success. And tell our viewers and our readers a little bit more about what is it that Zensai does? What are you?
Let me start with why this is important for us. And I'm a CEO like anyone else. So we go by the notion of, hey, let's get to 100 million. Let's be unicorn status. Let's do all of those types of things, right? And as a CEO, of course, that's part of the job, and that's part of what we wanted to be doing. And then as you have both Robin and me on the call, I think maybe that is what we bonded over initially. Our initial meetup was a long run in a very beautiful King's Garden north of Copenhagen, where we talked about what we wanted to change, both of us. And both of us were like, why are things still called HR, human resources? It's invented sometimes back in Roman military times or something like that.
Huh.
And then we went past industrial revolution, where you had resources of machines and resources of people. And now it actually becomes very, very relevant again, because we didn't invent it really in the age of AI. We invented it just on the cusp of that whole thing happening. But I think even before AI happened, Robin and I were always like, we've talked to a lot of investors. We've been part of great companies, and many come back and say, what's your team like? And we tell about the team and the passion about the people who are there. And then they don't ever ask for a metric about it. They just go, okay, now I think I know what that is.
Huh.
Yet they ask me a billion questions on ARR and GRR and COGS and God knows what to understand the business. Yet they say they make the investments based on who's on the team. And hence Robin and I felt like there's a change needed for this. And there's a different just articulation of what it is that department does. Does it manage human resources, moving around machines and people in the same way? So whether it's a computer or a person, we just move them around. Or are you actually investing in people becoming better and being net better off when they leave your company and learn something or have challenged themselves? So that's how Robin and I met, and that's how this human success has become pervasive. And now it's become the thing where we are going, hey, if we never ever make it to 100 million, but every human resources department is called human success, I'm the happiest camper on earth. I'll sit in my old age and overlook the ocean and go, that's what we did.
I love that. And it's at the heart of something else that I read from you guys, which a suggestion that, pivoting from this idea of employees as mere resources to recognizing them as a real pivotal factor for business success. And again, such an integral part of what we are about. Not just seeing people as a means, but seeing them as the purpose. And for your company to share in success with those people. And you guys have something. This human success platform. I mean, I love the way that sounds. Tell us a little more about what that means.
Sure. We, as Rasmus said, we really bonded over this idea of how do we make sure that every single person has the skills and knowledge and motivation they need every day to be successful, from the individual to the team to the department that they work for. Everything is aligned that way. And we're not naive enough to think that a technology platform will just solve all of this. You need the right culture, the right leadership. That's also why we wrote the book, to inspire you how to actually do that in your company. But at some point, you also do need the right platform to do so. And this is where we come in. And our platform is really centered around kind of three core pillars. Can we give people the knowledge that they need to be successful today in the job that they have, but also learn the right skills for the future? Because we know skills get outdated very quickly. So part of that is, how do you train people in the right way? Let's say it's, maybe how to use Anthropic, or how do you, better engineer your go-to-market thing, or whatever it is, right? So you need to learn those skills so you can be successful, again, not just today, because things are changing so rapidly in the future. The second pillar of this platform is really around, what are you learning towards? So everyone, making it clear that everyone should have very clear goals that they can try to achieve. It's very hard to do great work if you're not clear what you're trying to work towards in the first place. At best, it leads to maybe subpar results, but at worst, it leads to really toxic cultures, because then everybody's just fighting for themselves. But if you're clear around, these are our company goals, our department goals, team goals, individual goals, and they all ladder up, then it becomes much easier to show up every day and do great work and know how you're measured towards that progress. And you can train yourself again. You can align your skills growth towards the goals that you want to have. Let's say our goal is to create much more automation around our go-to-market. Well, then I need to learn those skills, and maybe that's tied back to company performance. So the second pillar is really around clarity around performance and goals. And then the third pillar, maybe the most important one, but maybe the one that's most overlooked in companies, is how do you ensure that everyone has a sense of purpose and belonging in a company? Because we know from all the data out there that people who show up and feel like they're part of something, and that part of something can be different for every person. It can be part of the mission of the company, part of the team that I'm working with. I love my boss, whatever it is, but make sure that everyone feels like they're part of something. So that the third part of our platform is what's classically called like engagement of employees, making sure that they feel like motivated every single day, that I have a good relationship with my manager, that there's clarity there, that I'm highlighting things that are going well and not so well, and that we're in this together. So part of our platform is like these very simple things. Nearly the heartbeat of it is where every single week we have set it up so we ask every employee in a company 4 simple questions. What did you achieve this week? What's stopping you from achieving things this week? Who do you want to give like some high fives to? Like kudos, which is really important. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how you doing? And in isolation, honestly, that's interesting data, but not that useful. But over time, what you start seeing is really interesting trends. You can see how an employee or a department is trending up or down, what they're struggling with, what they're not. And as a leader, it becomes much easier to lean into those things with a servant mindset of saying, hey, I see you're struggling here. How can I help you? Is it about you don't have clarity, you don't have the right skills, you don't have the right resources? What can I do? And you start seeing this cohesiveness that happens between employees, because the feeling of being in it together. It's both between manager and employee, but also between team members, because once you start calling out your team members, then you start getting that sense back of, wow, people really like working with each other, and there's like a cohesiveness around that too. So it becomes super powerful to give people that sense of, I'm part of something, I matter. And that's, of course, something that really drives high performance.
That's so extraordinary. You said so many powerful things there. These things that might not sound, we have people that talk about this who are just legends in people-centric business, and they talk about how so much of this stuff gets mislabeled as soft, and it's not soft at all, because it leads to very tangible results that that show up in your profits, that show up in your retention, that show up in a lot of other metrics, right? And so it's extraordinary what you're doing. And back to what Rasmus was saying, you guys are really flipping that human resources on its head and defining and clarifying these are resources for the humans in your company. And that's what, it almost seems like a no-brainer, right? That you should have that.
And if we can add
department, right?
If we can add to that, then what AI has enabled us to do is to insert like coaching at all these levels, right? So
That's right.
if an employee is looking for how do I get to the next level, build them a human success journey of the things they need to learn to be relevant in the age of AI or to excel in the age of AI. And whenever people check in, have the coaching abilities to tell, hey, here's a conversation you maybe need to treat more delicately. Here's somewhere you can give direct feedback, all of that. And last but not least, we feel that there was a need for coaching executive teams on performance of the entire organization. Because if you ask most CEOs, how's it going in your organization, they will answer by an eNPS, which is done once a year. I'll go back to, and this becomes a pervasive thing now with Robin and I, I'll go back to the fact that we're both avid runners. We're both inspired by the fact that Garmin can set up a program for you to train and be better and get better. And it will give you an endurance score and all those kind of things. And what it does is actually, it doesn't necessarily get you to run a sub 2-hour marathon. But what it does get you to is to be able to predict how fast can you run 10 kilometers, 1 mile, 42 kilometers, whatever your goal is. People who've done the training, who've showed up every time for training and come out and hit their goals in every training, they can predict their time running within 10% with no exception, unless the weather is all of a sudden 1,000,000 degrees hot or something like that. And that's a navigational compass that most CEOs actually lack. Then you'll do an eNPS, but would you trust that my eNPS from last year, if I've excelled and beat all budgets, is the same this year in October? No, it's better. And conversely, if you've missed every single month since then, the mood is not the same. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where, especially in this age where things start to be vibe coded and you can code a new product in a week, we hold an annual appraisal. Like, why does the people portion of this almost slow down, and the gap between the execution on building a new product, if we're in the software industry, is like a week, and the review of that is a year? You could then literally have built 52 products in that time span, and now we'll review Robin's performance. And he's going like, yeah, but product 24 was amazing. I know that product 51 was maybe not my greatest work. And I think that's where human success all of a sudden meets AI, because I said at the initial discussion that we didn't invent it in the age of AI. I just think it got a heck more relevant in the age of AI, because you transition the pace at which businesses operate. That means you need to change the pace at which the people operate, and you're a predicted outcome of that team that you have. And like any good sports team, you'll need to make some adjustments to make the team right for the age of AI. And you need to know that.
That's such a wonderful segue into, something that, I saw at the Human X event. I mean, Robin, you had such a very courageous and informed critique of, some of the other people that were on stage with you when they were talking about AI and how, they were almost basically saying, there's nothing we can do. It's going to replace people, and we're going to have to replace a lot of people, and we're going to have to just, lay off a lot of people. That's just part of the nature of AI. And you really courageously stood up and just said, when you're talking about Oracle laying off 30,000 workers, that's just, in your words, an extreme lack of courage at the top to go and reskill a workforce. And I think that fits perfectly into what Rasmus was just saying. You guys really believe that, right?
That's absolutely, and it's a core tenet of the book as well. Like trying to give. So the book is a fictional story, kind of the hero's journey, and it's based on hundreds of conversations that Rasmus and I have had with CEOs over the last couple of years. And of course, and so we wrote this as a fictional story because we want you to be inspired. We don't want it to be like, this is the exact same framework that's going to work for you, because every company is different. But basically, the core of it is exactly what you said. A key part of this is having the courage to stand up for what is right. And think about it. Let's say you're a 1,000-person company, and you have kind of a binary choice in some ways. You can either say, I'm going to cut 300 people and try to like get more efficient that way. Or maybe you say, okay, we're not going to cut anybody. We're actually going to invest in them, and we're going to grow much faster instead,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the first one is the easy one, it's like easy to do. I mean, not easy, don't get me wrong. I've been on both sides of that, but it's not easy, but it's still the safe choice in some ways. You cut your way and you kind of like do that. And then Wall Street cheers for you and your stock goes up and so on. The other one is a little bit more hard because it's a little bit more unpredictable. You have to have a vision. It starts there by having clarity of where you're going and what you want to ultimately achieve. And then also within that vision, give people some freedom to learn and grow and surprise you. Like if let's say at Oracle had taken maybe 10,000 of those 30,000 people and said, we're going to keep those 10,000 and invest in their skills and growth and train them how to become masters of AI so we can innovate faster, do new things, create new products that we didn't even know existed or the market needed. Where could that have led to? It could have been like opened up a whole new sphere of growth for them. But they took the other path, which is, again, some ways safer and easier, right? And I think it just, you lack a little courage. So it requires leadership to step up and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stand up to, maybe it's the Wall Street, maybe it's the board, maybe whoever it is that's in the investors in the company, and say, I know what you're saying, and we do have a responsibility to get more efficient. There's no doubt about it. But what if we could grow instead and use our skills to grow the company even faster? Let me show you how. And of course, you come with a plan and you show that plan. And that's kind of what the book is really about, is the CEO, he has been given a binary choice: cut 40% of the company in the next 6 months, and he says, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to show you that I can actually turn this into a growth opportunity, or else you can fire me. And so you kind of have this ticking time clock, which is like, gets a little bit more exciting. And that's what the framework of the story. And then during that story, he gets inspiration from a lot of different people, including Rasmus and myself, on how to solve this.
Hey, I don't want to give away the ending, but I'm imagining it's a happy ending, correct?
Yes, yes, it is a happy ending. Yeah. But maybe some twists and turns along the way that you don't expect.
Yeah, thank God it's a happy ending, though.
Maybe Chris, maybe a perspective on that is that the way we think about it is that when we create space with AI, we try to move teams closer to the customers. Because I still think that even where we are at today, people and people relations matter. And I'll give you an example of our third author, Nina. She's our Chief Human Success Officer. She's also a real awesome person. She's grown up in HR, then went out and founded her own company. She sold the company back to us and accepted that she would be the role model for Chief Human Success Officer.
Oh, wow.
Because first and foremost, I have the number one thing an HR officer will tell you is, I would love to have a seat at the table, at the exec table. Mm-hmm. And Nina comes with having carried the bag. She's been out there selling. She's built a product, all of those kind of things. So she knows what that's like. And she accepted that. She's also, of course, instrumental in coming up with the human success score and all of those kind of things. Because what that did for her is that she can win and she can lose like every other executive. Like if the CRO comes back and we've booked 50% of target, that's a bad look. If the CFO comes back and we have index 125 of cash, that's a great look. If the CTO comes back with 70% operational uptime, that's a bad look. Every other executive has something they can win or lose. But the CHRO does not, because they could come with attrition and nothing really happens, right? Because that's all of us. Hey, Robin, you lost 2 people on your team. That's your fault. Mm-hmm. Hey, Rasmus, you were 5 people. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. Nina accepted that as her first challenge. The second challenge she's now accepted is she's obviously been what we would call general and administration on the cost sheet, right? She's done internal work to make our teams better and all of that. So that's how we would classify it. But given that we've now written the book, and given obviously we're in a space where she could be helpful, she's the subject matter expert, and she's the peer to many of our customers. We've asked her to spend 50% of her time doing roundtables speeches, writing books, being a thought leader out with the community. And we've not stopped there. So that's where we got to now. But just think of it. She's released about 50% of her time to be almost a marketing engine on her own. And we've then kind of thought about her people evolution, and we've decided to make that almost a general availability of that. Because the next step would be, when you're at these roundtables, why don't you record all of the ideas and give you an agent that can write a product requirements document? I am sure that the best way to understand what we need to build for human success officers in the future is to talk to them and convince them that there's maybe a way to manage and all that. All of a sudden, she now goes from 100% G&A to 50% marketing, 50% G&A. Then she goes to 20% product, 50% marketing, and 30% G&A. And you could, even in the age of vibe coding, you could ask her at the very end. So let's say in 12 months that AI is much further ahead, she comes back with a prototype and goes, I've just met 10 HR officers. Here's what they're talking about. The coaching around leadership coaching, we're getting it wrong. We should be doing this and this. Here's the prototype. That's obviously not the product, but that's how you accelerate product development, using an internal, inward-facing role who has automated a lot of her own job to be able to be closer to the customer and generate this. That's an amazing evolution for anyone.
Yeah, it's funny. It almost, again, seems like a no-brainer that if you make your human, your people person or your human resources person more human, it'll really be a positive effect on the company. And no disrespect, but so many human resources people that I've met are so seemingly inhuman and disconnected from the whole company and the whole success of the company. They're in this silo where it doesn't even seem like they know anybody in their company. And it's, I think that's to the detriment of the company, obviously. And what you're doing and what you've done with her is so extraordinary. You guys talked about being runners a little bit. I'm a runner in exile. I love running, but I had a back injury a few years ago, so I've had to get back slow, but I can't wait to get back to it. And running for me is very organic. It connects me to myself. I think that's probably one of the reasons why you and Robin are so authentic and natural, and you come across that way and very connected. But I'm always curious. I mean, you both have such an extraordinary connection to humanity and taking care of people and wanting to do that for very real reasons. Is there anything in your personal lives that you can relate, that maybe when you were young growing up, or even something that happened later in life that made you this way, that made you so committed to taking care of people?
I think it's one of the things, again, we bonded over on that infamous run that we did. And you're right about running. I think when you're running, you just have to deal with yourself. That's why it's such a great thing, right? There's no hiding. I mean, some days are great and some days suck, and you just have to kind of get through it. And it's kind of like life, honestly. But what we bonded over, I think, I mean, obviously our stories are very different. We met each other maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. Is that we are 100% where we are in our lives because so many people along the way have believed in us and invested in us and given us the skills that we needed, or the push that we needed, the nudge that we needed to become better and better and better. And ultimately, if you think about what our platform really is all about, that's really what it's all about. Can we give people those skills and motivation, the coaching they need every single day? Sometimes that comes to a teacher, sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a sibling, sometimes it's a good boss, sometimes it's a shitty boss, right? We can get learning and growth from a lot of different places, but we really bonded over the fact that there's no doubt we are where we are because a lot of people along the way have helped us in our own kind of way to become the best that we could be. And I just think what a different place the world would be if everybody had access to that, if they had access to the best coaching. And sometimes that's through people, sometimes that's through other ways as well. And that's, again, like what our platform is for. But so we really bonded over that. And of course, part of that is when you're going through hard times, and if you look at Rasmus's career, there's been highs and there's also been some lows, certainly for me as well. And you learn a lot, and you that's when you really get put to the test, and you understand having people in your corner ultimately is the best superpower that you have, the people who stand by you and can coach you through this. And so we are both super, I think, aligned on that. There are many other reasons, but this is definitely part of it. Definitely part of it.
Well, thank God for that run, because it's really helping a lot of people.
Chris, we still do it, and it's
I
actually
know.
pretty interesting that from the company we've ended up with like a group of people that includes, now I think we're up to 10, and includes Robin's wife, my wife, a Danish professor in energy, and all, who get together and do mountain runs. And the
That's
funny
so
thing
cool.
is,
Wow.
the first time we were together,
Mhm.
half the people didn't know each other, and it was the best ever trip because everyone was focused on like the same. We need to get
That's
through
right.
these mountains and over these
Yeah.
things, and some did super well and some did pretty badly, and all of those kind of things. But in the end, whatever the sequence of event was, everyone was cheering for each other, and you come out, everyone came out better, and that's what it is in life, right? You cheer for the ones where the head is hanging and it's a far way to the top still, but you also cheer for the one with head held high, chest forward, still a fast stride, and all of that. I think that's what makes it, and the camaraderie pulls it further than just the experience on your own. I actually just heard a fantastic quote from a bike rider who was part of winning the Giro d'Italia, Victor Campenaerts, and it's from a movie, but it was that happiness only exists when shared.
Oh, wow.
And I actually think
that's a great quote.
It's a great quote. I forget what the movie was. I just remember that was the quote. And I think that's a fantastic thing. When you share happiness with other people, it just gets amplified by 1 billion miles.
Wow.
I love that. Yeah.
What a wonderful ending quote and metaphor for everything that you guys do, and for what we promote. So thank you guys so much for sharing that. Everybody who's watching, Zensai, if you want to supercharge your company with your people, definitely check out Zensai. It's zensai.com. Anybody can get you there, right? And I know, Robin, you're probably incredibly open on LinkedIn as well. Anybody wants to reach out, or Rasmus as well. And the book, The Human Success Playbook, definitely suggest taking a look at it. It's on Amazon, right?
That's right.
It is indeed.
Wonderful.
There's still a promotion on the Kindle version for today and tomorrow, right? That it's free.
Is it?
It is. It is. But I don't know when this will come.
Tomorrow.
I don't know when this will come out though, so I don't know.
Right.
So
well, who knows? Maybe it'll be free again.
Maybe we'll
You'll do another
Make a
promotion.
promo for this.
Listen. If you want a free copy, just text me, okay, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll make sure that we can get you on.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
Well, thank you guys both for joining us so much. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Chris. And see,
Chris.
we got the project done.
Hey!
I told you he's really good at this.
And for everybody who's watching, he did do that within the time this interview was going on. So pretty impressive. All right, guys. Thank you again. Take care.
All right. Yeah,
Take care.
Bye.